You know that feeling, right? You decide you're going to start a new habit, you're super motivated, and then a week later, poof, you're right back where you started. We always blame ourselves, but what if the problem isn't your willpower at all? Today, we're diving into the real science of how habits actually form. And trust me, it's probably not what you think.
Ah, yes, this old chestnut. You've heard it a million times. The magic number, 21 days. It's presented as this simple, beautiful promise. Just grit your teeth for 3 weeks, and bam, you've got a new habit for life. Sounds easy enough. But hang on. If it's really that simple, why is it so hard? Why do so many of us try and fail? You hit day 7, maybe day 10, you're feeling good, and then you slip up. And you immediately think, I just don't have enough discipline. But what if the problem isn't you? What if the advice itself is just wrong? Yep, that's right. The whole idea that any habit, no matter what it is, can be locked in after exactly 21 days is, for the most part, a total myth. And understanding why it's a myth is the very first step to finally making changes that actually stick around. So seriously, if you've ever beaten yourself up for not making a new habit stick for 21 days, just let that feeling go right now. You weren't fighting a lack of willpower, you were fighting a completely flawed idea from the start. And here's why that idea fails. Look at all these factors. Think about it. Is learning to floss for 2 minutes the same as training for a marathon? Of course not. Your environment matters, your stress levels, your energy, all of these things play a huge role. There's just no way one magic number could ever work for everyone for every habit. Okay, so if the 21-day rule is officially out the window, then what do we replace it with? Well, let's get into the real science. It's not about counting days, it's about a neurological process that your brain is running on autopilot all the time, and it's called the habit loop. So at its core, a habit is really just something you do without having to think about it. It's an automatic behavior. And our brains are incredibly efficient at creating these automatic routines using a really simple 3-part system. And here it is, every single habit you have, the good, the bad, the ugly, it all follows this exact same pattern. First, something happens in your world. That's the cue or the trigger. That cue leads to the routine, which is the action you take. And finally, you get a reward, which is the little prize that tells your brain, hey, that was good. Let's remember this combo and do it again next time. Let's make this real. Here's a habit pretty much all of us have. The cue. Your alarm goes off and you wake up. The routine. Before you're even fully conscious, you grab your phone and start scrolling. The reward, you get that little hit of fun, novelty, and dopamine. And just like that, the loop is complete, and that habit gets a little bit stronger every single morning. Okay, so if this loop is the same for every single habit, why does it feel so ridiculously easy to form bad habits, but like climbing Mount Everest to build good ones? Well, the answer is all in that final step, the reward. This slide right here explains the entire struggle. Our brains are hardwired to love instant rewards. Bad habits are amazing at this. Junk food gives you that amazing taste right now. Procrastinating gives you comfort right now. But good habits, the rewards are way off in the future. The benefit of going to the gym might not show up for weeks. And your brain, well, it's almost always going to choose that quick win. And that's exactly why waiting for motivation is such a trap. You can't just rely on a feeling that comes and goes. What you really need is a system. You need to design an environment that makes the right choice the easiest choice. That system is what pulls you through when that long-term reward feels a million miles away. All right, so we've busted the myth, we get the science. Now for the big question. How do we actually do this? Let's get right into the practical, step-by-step playbook. So here are the 6 core strategies we're going to walk through. And listening, this isn't about finding more willpower or some secret formula. It's about being smart in designing a process that actually works with your brain's natural programming instead of fighting against it. Okay, this right here is the #1 mistake we all make. We tell ourselves something like, that's it. Starting tomorrow, I'm going to the gym for an hour every single day. And that, my friends, is a recipe for absolute failure. It's just too big of a jump, and your brain will find any excuse to resist it. So what's the answer? You start ridiculously, laughably small. You want to start studying for 2 hours a day? Great. Start with just 5 minutes. That's it. Just 5. Why? Because anyone can do something for 5 minutes. It's so easy that your brain doesn't even put up a fight. See, the goal on day 1 isn't to make huge progress. The goal is just to show up. Consistency is built on a foundation of tiny, easy wins. Now, for good habits, your job is to remove friction. Friction is just anything that makes a task even slightly harder to do. So by laying out your gym clothes the night before, you've removed one step, one excuse. By keeping the book you want to read right on your desk, you remove another. You're basically engineering your environment to make it as easy as possible to say yes.
And for bad habits, you guessed it, you do the complete opposite. You want to add friction. You want to make those bad habits harder to do. If you have to physically reinstall an app every time you want to use it or log back into your social media, that extra effort gives your rational brain just enough time to jump in and say, hey, wait a minute, do I really want to do this? You're building a barrier between the trigger and the bad habit.
Okay, now for the final and honestly the most important piece of the puzzle. This goes way beyond the mechanics of the habit loop and gets into the deep psychology of what makes change last forever. This is the real secret sauce. Look at the difference here. The goal-based approach is all about an outcome you want, but the identity-based approach is about the person you want to become. So instead of telling yourself, ugh, I have to force myself to study, you start to think, I'm a student. Studying is just what I do. It's a subtle shift, but it changes everything. Because once you truly start to see yourself as a fit person, or a writer, or a reader, the habits stop feeling like a chore you have to do. They just become a natural way of confirming your own identity to yourself. You're no longer forcing it, you're simply being you. This chart really puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? Look at where you should put your energy. Half of it is just on repetition, showing up and doing that tiny thing over and over. Then focus on building that supportive system and environment. And finally, work on that identity shift. And notice what's at 0%, motivation, and in magic number of days. They just don't matter in the long run. So let's just quickly recap the most important takeaways. 1, forget the 21-day rule. It's a myth. 2, remember that every habit is a cue, routine, reward loop. 3, start so small that you literally cannot fail. 4, design your environment for success by removing friction for good habits and adding it for bad ones. And number 5, the most powerful of all, focus on who you want to become. And really, that is what this all comes down to. Every single action you take is like a vote for the type of person you want to be. So as we finish up, I'll just leave you with that question to think about. Who are you casting your votes